Hey, everybody. I wanted to open this week with my introduction, tell you a little bit about who I am, and mostly tell you about my nursing career and give you an idea of why I think I'm qualified to share this information with you. And so my name is Victoria Lynn Krejci Kitchell, and you can call me Vicky. Everybody does. I live on a farm. I have a lot of cats and dogs and sheep, llamas, alpacas, goats, horses, donkeys, chickens, ducks, the whole works. So you will hear dogs barking from time to time in the background, and I'm sorry about that. I hope it's not distracting. And that's something that I will have to I'll look at in the future. And if it really does sound like it's distracting, then I'll do something different about recording. Um, I live up in the San Luis Valley of Colorado, and I actually live at the base of Mount Blanca. It's absolutely beautiful. And at some point, I'm sure I'll have it as my background, and you can see the view out of my front door, which is it's just pretty awesome. We've got about 10 acres here, and we've got land out and about. I'm married. I have five stepdaughters who are absolutely wonderful. One of them is still living at home with us. The rest are all off raising families of their own. My husband is also a nurse, and he's working with home health and absolutely loves his job. So let me tell you a little bit about my nursing career. I started as a graduate from Otero Junior College. This is in La Junta, Colorado. It's a very small community, but it was a great little community college. Absolutely loved it. And so I started working in that area. I worked in nursing home for a little while at the Veterans Center. And then I moved to the local hospital, worked medical surgical floor. As an LPN, I did all of this and worked my way into the intensive care unit. At that time, we were really short on nurses, and I had an aptitude for critical care. And so that was a big reason for why I got moved into um, the intensive care unit. And then I started picking up shifts in the emergency department as well. It was time to go back to school, and I went and finished my associate's degree about 6 years later. And I was pretty hooked on the emergency department by then. And so I started working full time just in the emergency department. Absolutely loved it. It's a very small hospital there. And when I started, we had a 6-bed emergency department. It's quite a bit bigger now. But I would come to work at 11 o'clock at night, and I would take report, and there would be a physician in the house, but he was upstairs, down the hall, sleeping, and I was it. And so whatever came through the door, I worked that department by myself. So it was sometimes pretty intense. I had a really good relationship with the local police department and have a lot of friends from that time who at then they would come in and hang out with me. And it was amazing how less trouble I had when there was a police car parked in my emergency department parking lot. Anyway, those guys were just absolutely amazing. I did that for many years. And then I got itchy. I just, it's not like me to only have one job. And so I've always been in school and working or working multiple jobs. But I was getting itchy. And so a lot of my friends said, hey, come volunteer with the fire department. We just have a blast, and we train every Tuesday. And I wasn't 100% sure about all of this. And so I started just volunteering on the ambulance. I got my EMT basic, and just volunteered on the ambulance service. And then I started really getting enticed by the fire department, and I thought fighting fire was pretty amazing. So then I did rural fire, and eventually worked my way into structure fire, and then working a full-time job as a firefighter who in this area was also at the time was also a 911 operator, and everything so I was a fire paramedic, and it was a trip because 911 would ring and I would answer 911, what's your emergency? And it would be a fire or an ambulance call. And I would take that information. I would page it out across the radio so that we'd get all of the correct help that we needed. And I would flip a switch and send the 911 operator responsibilities to the next town. And they would then manage the 911 calls until we got done with everything and I was back in the office. It was a unique experience that was just, it was phenomenal. I really enjoyed it. And working in the emergency department and then working in the pre-hospital environment, boy, that was just ideal for me. And I absolutely loved it. Did that for quite a while as a full-time firefighter, paramedic. And then on the firefighting side, I worked my way up to engineer and was running trucks. And that, boy, that's just amazing to drive those big trucks and operate them and put out fires. It's pretty awesome position to have. I really enjoyed it. Once again, though, I got the itch and it was time to look at some different things and move on. And I decided to travel a little bit. I traveled locally, and then I would travel throughout the country. And so I took some positions in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and I worked there for 6 months in the emergency department. I then took a position in Paradise Valley near San Diego, California. I can tell you that I absolutely hate the big city. I lived 17 miles from the hospital, and it would take me over an hour to get to work every day. It drove me crazy. But it was a phenomenal experience. And California really wasn't my style. I learned ocean kayaking, and I absolutely loved that. And so if I wasn't at the beach or out on the ocean, I actually started picking up PRN shifts and worked at a lot of the area hospitals there. And then I took a position in Tucson, Arizona, and that was pretty awesome. I actually stayed there. I was a traveler for 6 months, but then I stayed on at the hospital in the emergency department, and there I received my first flight nurse position. So somewhere in there, going backwards, when I was a full-time firefighter, I also did a nursing to paramedic crossover program, which is really pretty phenomenal. And I did that through Creighton University in Omaha, Nebraska. And that's pretty cool. It's you got to have your books read and everything done, lots of experience, and you have to have all your certifications in place. And then it's down and dirty. 2 weeks, you're in the hospitals intubating, you're in the classroom, and then you're doing ride-alongs with Omaha Fire, and you're out and about and getting some of those paramedic skills. Anyway, so that was pretty cool. So when I got to Tucson, I was having dinner in the emergency department. I actually had a moment to sit down and eat dinner, and I was flipping through the newspaper, and I found an ad for a flight nurse position. So I thought that was pretty cool. And that, of course, was my ideal. I've been wanting to do that for years and years and years. And I was in my Bachelor of Nursing program at the time. And working, and then I got the job. And so for the next couple of years, I was flying in a helicopter, not this helicopter that you see behind me, but a different one that was pretty amazing. And I actually flew, my home base was Douglas, Arizona, which is right on the border with Mexico. So it's a very unique environment, absolutely beautiful. And we flew mostly our patients to Tucson, sometimes to Phoenix if they were significantly burned or had needed some specialty care. Um, and then it was time to move a little closer to home. And I moved to Flagstaff, and worked in the emergency department there. And that was pretty awesome. It was a travel position. I stayed there for 6 months, but then I really liked it. And so I stayed for about another year as a full-time employee and became a charge nurse there, and really, really, really enjoyed that. I finished my bachelor's degree and had started on my master's. My master's is, of course, a master of science in nursing. And I then led into a postgraduate certificate in nursing and healthcare education because I really like to teach. And I have just a lot of fun hanging out and telling stories and bringing information down, really making it clear, and then moving on to bigger stuff. And absolutely loved it. So, again, was moving closer to home. My dad had gotten really sick, and I took another fixed wing flight position in the Alamosa area. Um, we had a crash, and we lost an entire crew, and that was pretty tough. And my family was like, "Mom, please, can we take a break from some of that?" And absolutely. And so I actually managed the emergency department there in the area for a couple of years, and I was teaching full time for many years, but I really missed flight. And so I went back to flying fixed wing for 6 or 7 years. And for the last year and a half or so, I have been flying on this helicopter, and that's based out of La Junta, Colorado, which is kind of funny because it's like going all the way, bringing it back home, which, because La Junta is where I graduated from nursing school some 30 plus years ago. So really exciting. So that's a little bit about my experience. So not only have I done a lot of pre-hospital work, I've done a lot of emergency department work. I've done a lot of teaching, flight nursing, paramedic, a little bit of paramedic, ICU. I've really enjoyed ICU. I've worked ICU as a registered nurse for a couple of years. Travel nursing, I've worked in really small emergency departments and really big, busy emergency departments. There's pros and cons to both. I do a little bit of OB. That is not my forte. And when I get to talking about some OB concepts, I will be bringing in some guest speakers to help teach some of that information. I have delivered babies. It is not my favorite thing to do. But for the most part, when we put a patient in the helicopter, it's either the delivered baby or mom has become very stable. She's high risk, but she's very stable because nobody dies and nobody is born in that helicopter. So we have some rules about that. Anyway, so that's my experience. And I just hope you've enjoyed this little introduction. And I really look forward to sharing nursing and nursing school with you. I think you were really going to enjoy that. Thank you so much. Have a great day.